Welcome back to the 2016 MSI semifinals where RNG is one game up in this best of 5 versus SKT, and I'm joined by a familiar face, Imp, of course, world champion and currently playing for LGD. Welcome, Imp. You know a lot of these players very well, so the first thing I want to ask you about is RNG. They've been doing fantastically so far. What do you make of their tournament so far?
임프 선수 우선 안녕하세요. 그리고 지금 여기 경기하는 선수들은 임프 선수가 다 개인적으로 많이 알고 친분 있는 선수들이 많을 텐데 지금까지 RNG 팀의 이런 경기력이나 성적에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
RNG가 LPL 리그 플레이오프 때는 되게 3대2까지 가고 그랬는데 갑자기 결승전까지 가면서 결승전부터 MSI까지 점점 오면서 경기력이 되게 올라간 것 같아요. 뭐라 해야 되지? 다른 라이너들이 되게 잘해졌다 해야 되나? 네. 그리고 지금 이렇게 SKT에게 이기고 경기력이 올라간 모습. 네.
While RNG was playing during the LPL spring playoffs, we saw them playing getting to very tight series 3-2, but then after they beat EDG 3-1, and while preparing for MSI, I think they improved a lot. All their players, they got a lot better than I used to know. And I think also here at MSI, while they beat SKT for the first time, they stepped that step further and got even better.
They have been doing really well. On the other side, SKT has been struggling during this tournament, quite unexpected. What do you think is going wrong for them in these games?
반대로 이제 SKT 팀은 지금 되게 이번 대회 동안 이제 고전을 겪고 있는데요. 임프 선수 생각하기에는 어떠한 이유로 SKT1 팀이 평상시보다 좀 실력이 좀 난조를 겪고 있는지 좀 말씀해 주세요.
되게 한국 팀들이 거의 다 그러한데 메타를 잘 만들지 못하고 이런 스프링 시즌에 새로운 메타가 많이 생기는데 그 메타를 한국 팀들이 거의 모든 팀이 그걸 받아들인 다음에 완성시켜가지고 롤드컵 때 잘하는 거거든요. 우리도 그랬고 블루랑 비교했을 때 그래가지고 지금 작년 MSI에도 그랬듯 이번에도 고전을 겪고 있는 것 같아요.
So in general, I think the spring season, it's when teams adapt to the new season and they make new metas. But Korean teams in general, they're kind of slow in adapting that kind of meta. So in the past, those strong teams that dominated Worlds, they weren't as good during the spring split. Like Samsung White, for example, at 2014, Samsung Blue was stronger because they were the team that was creating more the new metas. But by summer, the stronger teams would adapt that kind of meta and complete that meta to become that best team. So I think that's what happened to Korean teams for this year and last year. They just struggled more during spring split, but they'll get better at the summer and World Championship.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it repeating history for SKT at MSI last year and this year struggling. I do want to ask you about the bottom lane matchup. Of course, we have Mata there, your legendary partner in the bottom lane, now playing with Wujin up against Wolf and Bang. How do you compare the two at this tournament?
그럼 지금 RNG랑 SKT의 바텀 라인에 좀 더 얘기를 해볼게요. 이제 RNG 측에서는 이제 임프 선수의 전설적인 파트너 같이 한 시대를 풍미했던 마타 선수가 있고 반대편 SKT에서는 임프 선수와 개인적으로 친분이 있는 뱅 선수가 있는데 그 두 바텀 라인에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
마타 형이랑 준식이 지금 RNG랑 SKT 바텀 방금 뭐라 해야 되지? 교전 양상을 보인 바텀에서 뭔가 사소한 싸움에는 SKT 바텀이 되게 유리한데 뭔가 잘하는 것 같은데 계속 RNG는 공격을 하고 막 약간 컨트롤 미스가 딜교환 미스가 나도 계속 공격을 하고 결국엔 큰 싸움에서 이득을 가져가요. 그 공격적인 거랑 약간 수비적인 바텀? 네, 그게 좀 차이가 있어요. 너무 어려워요.
Okay.
He's giving you a lot to translate.
So I think in general, SKT bottom lane is more defensive and RNG bottom lane is more aggressive. So looking at last game, I think SKT's bot lane, they won those small skirmishing fights, they won those small trades, but he keeps looking for those aggressive moves. He's trying to make those picks and those fights, and when they get in a big fight, teleports coming in, mid laners roaming, at those kind of big fights, RNG got more advantage off SKT eventually.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens in the next game. Final question though, Imp, who will win MSI and why?
그럼 마지막으로 결국 MSI는 누가 우승할 것 같나요?
섣불리 누가 우승한다고 말하기엔 좀 그렇고 오늘 방금 MSI에서 루퍼 선수랑 마타 선수가 경기하는 걸 보니까 옛날에 제가 같이 했었던 기억이 좀 추억이 좀 떠오르고 RNG가 우승했으면 좋겠어요.
So it's really hard to say who's gonna win at this point of the tournament. But like looking at Looper and Mata play, it brings back memories of like playing together like as a team back at like while Samsung White, that era. So to sum up, I would like RNG to win.
Okay. You have something to add?
LPL이 무시받는 게 싫어요. 말 안 하겠죠. LPL이 무시받는 게 싫어요.
I don't want LPL to be looked down on.
All right, well, I think RNG is proving that right now. Thank you so much, Im, for talking to us. A lot of love for Mata and Looper and trust in RNG. We'll see what happens in game 2. So casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, Shox. And yeah, from here where we stand, all we can do is literally look down on Royal because right now
we're looking down on everyone, Freak.
We are, but he talked about looking down on the LPL. And honestly, as far as gameplay goes, though, I don't think anyone can look down on the LPL and how well this top team has done. That was a great game one from RNG.
It's honestly really impressive to watch because, you know, LGD kind of had this style as well where they were a very much pile-in bottom lane behind their superstar AD carry in Imp. They play the lane very similar to now how RNG are playing it, you know, dominate the 2v2, attract a lot of attention down there, then be quicker on the rotation. And even though that game was a lot about Looper, as this series progresses, I do expect RNG to once again fall on that linchpin of always having an aggressive bottom lane that looks to dominate their opponent. They're not happy to win by 20 CS. They want to kill you.
Yeah, and I'm really wondering if the pick and bans are going to change at all from the sides of RNG because they were very happy with the way the picks played out. I mean, maybe you would see them do the same bans and then SKT would try and deny the Poppy and the Trundle, but we do know Looper's got Quinn, and that would be even further into the lane-dominant, pressure the whole map style, and I would love to see it.
And I just think that the Nidalee is like the linchpin of that composition because if you have a stronger jungler, you can never treat a lane as a 1v1 or a 1v1 in the mid lane or a 2v2 in the bottom lane. You always have to account for the fact that Nidalee is going to be so much stronger than your Graves at that point of the game. And, you know, even wandering into mid lanes, auto-attacking Faker out, like there are little things that MLXG can do that Graves can just never replicate. And I think that is kind of the linchpin of this composition.
Yeah, Nidalee will turn even lanes into winning lanes if you have her on your team, and that is what's so critical. First ban, same for RNG, and Twitch also banned out from SKT. It's looking like we're going to see a very similar ban phase.
At the very least, SKT doing it in a different order, so now we get to see if they're going to play the same style. There's the Lucian ban as well, looking to now pinch Woosh's champion pool. All he's played all tournament long is Twitch, Lucian, Sivir. No Ezreal, no Caitlyn, nothing else.
He has a Jhin.
Oh, he's a Jhin game, you're right, one Jhin game.
And it was against SKT, and I think that Jhin is a good pick against SKT because they don't go aggressive. They kite back against it, and Jhin is just able to sit back and actually initiate team fights for this RNG lineup. He joins very late into the team fights.
Now the exact same plan coming out of the Chinese squad. Royal never give up, same 3 bans, same order. SKT have already added a new ban in Lucian, which means they have to drop one of Vizier or Ryze.
Yeah, which will change the dynamic of team fights. So they've taken out the earliest pressure jungler, but we're going to be going for some big team fights. And the question we also have here is, you can trade Azir and Ryze theoretically, unless RNG thinks one champion is just head and shoulders above the other. And apparently that's Ryze for Xiaohu.
Well, it depends what style you want to play. If you want a team fight, I agree with you. Trade them as much as you want. You want to open up the map. You want to play 1-3-1. Faker cannot take teleport. Like, Ryze just needs setup time. It just doesn't suit his playstyle as well, at all. It's more of a 1-1-3 with people rotating into the Azir lane, if that is how you want to play it. So I just think that with how game 1 played out, Ryze is a much better pick for RNG's current strategy than what Azir ever would be.
And no surprise here, SKT taking an early round Sivir pick with lines up with their ban strategy. The Azir still coming through though, so not trying to show off anything new, realizing that Poppy for Trundle wasn't exactly the best trade, and nothing else really required, as Kindred and Graves are a pretty easy trade too.
I do feel like, however, right now RNG do have to prioritize the Kindred because there is just so much control in AoE out of this SKT lineup that if you gave them Kindred as well, it would be way too strong.
I agree with that. And here, Kindred, I do think, is a little bit ahead of Graves on the current patch, although you can have fantastic Graves games as MLXG has had. So really, this entire early bit of the draft phase has just been power picks so far.
Ooh, Ooh, look at this, actually changing the strategy up, Elise coming through. They don't want any of those highly contested marksman junglers.
graze.
They're changing the style.
They need initiation. I mean, if Wolf's going to play Soraka all series and you're going to run Azir, he can't be a primary initiator. They have to have some way to generate CC. Graves doesn't give you that at all.
Which they didn't have last game. They didn't have a way of generating CC aside from Faker trying to go in and solo people, which he did 6 times, but it wasn't enough to win the game. And I actually have seen Elise used as a fairly effective pick against Kindred, because if Kindred doesn't go Mercury Treads or have an early QSS, it's a good burst window to take her down, to take them down on Kindred, and it's a possible road to success.
It's also that you can invade Graves, and unless he killed you, kind of get away from it. You really can't ever invade an Elise if you don't have vision. I mean, her ability to just zero out a champion early on in the game is nearly unrivaled.
Whoa.
Ooh, top
They're putting
lane
Rise
with Callista LeBlanc. Changing things up.
Wow.
Looper again saying, yeah, I know what the top lane meta is. I don't really care.
And he's like, I don't care if I play into Poppy, and he doesn't think Duke has something else that could be good against it. And the thing is here, like, SKT gets to react to this and still have a counterpick. I do have to credit SKT for saving their top laners so they can't get counterpicked again, but they're also, it's been a while since they've had to go up against a Rise.
In the top lane, yeah, I imagine it's been a while for them here.
What?
And
30 seconds ticking down for Wolf to decide.
One thing that people, I guess, Rise does a lot of damage, right? But in top lane, it's such a longer lane that the CC starts becoming like even more critical. I mean, if you give MLXG half a lane to chase down Poppy, even if the Rise does no damage, MLXG will kill him.
But also, if you give Elise a stun target and Rise is pushed too far up, they can chain their CC and kill him the same way. So this will be a jungle-heavy focus on the lane. And last game, MLXG was able to come out ahead, but the early ganking of Elise can also be incredibly potent.
And once again, Xiaohu is hovering teleport on your screen. This time, I expect him to commit, because Rise is a very easy dive target in the early game, and you need some form of reaction.
Extra protection.
That can come in the form of that teleport.
And keep in mind, for Callista Braum to do well against this Sivir Soraka, they've actually got to get in there, get the Ren stacks and dodge forward, so that team might need to reinforce the 2-on-2. Either of these side lanes could be easy points of attention here. As the picks and bans are done, the swaps come through, you see them on the screen there. Nice LED play mat for all the players, definitely pretty cool.
Wicked stage we have here.
Yep. Mid-season Invitational 2016 semifinals. Game 1 went to China's Royal Never Give Up. Korea's SKTelecom T1 looking to turn this best of 5 around. As the coaches shake hands, you at home know what this is about. Hashtag RNG win, hashtag SKT win. RNG will be blue every single game. SKT chose to be red on their sides, their choices as well. They won't switch sides, but maybe they'll switch wins.
And you know, guys, don't be scared to jump on the RNG hype train now. We've already seen them win once.
Yeah?
Could be more.
I mean, everyone in the stadium right now is on the RNG hype train. I have not seen this venue more packed than I have right now. And it's a Friday, so it's not even the weekend yet. All these guys are here in the middle of the afternoon to watch this team, and the 1-0 start is super promising for their chances. But I'm just so excited about this game coming up right now. We get to see another new top lane pick for the tournament with Looper's Rise, and we get to see SKT with a very strong mid lane AD carry duo that they power picked early, but still questionable initiation for them. I can't wait to see how this plays out.
And I really must stress that RNG was one of the last teams to adapt to the top lane meta. They should be very comfortable playing Mages top. I mean, along with WE, they were still playing the Lissandra later into the, I guess, season. They were also playing the Quinn a lot as well. So this is something that the team, even though they haven't played at this tournament, very practiced at.
And this is also another thing that I thought we would see more of coming into this tournament. I actually expected to see it from Darshan, because we knew Maokai was S tier. Echo weren't 100% sure about his power level, but it's still very high. But beyond that, those Poppy nerfs were big, and I actually thought that you'd have the window to do other potential carry top laners coming to the top lane, but then as the group stage proceeded, I thought, I guess not. I guess these guys are totally committed to the tourney meta. But in the time off, RNG is attacking that champion pool in the top lane and trying to come up with new stuff.
And it's why we love best of 5s. Best of 1, sure, that's a huge risk to take. Best of 5, do it a game. If it doesn't work out, throw this strategy out the window, go back to standard.
We're going to see as the standard situation is, it's going to be a lane swap here. Duke leashing in for his jungler Blank. Similar situation now as Looper is kind of hovering around the top side of the map. Actually, no one's around him.
And Lupa knew this was kind of going to be a lane swap. He went up there to see if he could get CS. However, with a Mana Crystal and turret gold, you do get tier. So you can start stacking relatively early. It doesn't hurt Rise as much as it used to hurt him.
Yeah, not starting with the double jungle, though, is non-ideal for RNG. Last game, they had a tremendous start because SKT was forced to teleport to get into their optimal start. This time, Looper very slow on the help of MLXG, which means MLXG had to take a lot of damage, and Looper was unable to share experience on any of the early camps.
He starts to share a little bit now, and look at this in the mid lane. Shahu pushed around a bit by Faker. Just worth noting, Bang actually got to take Krugs and didn't miss any CS in the top lane, so he's actually on a perfect trajectory so far. Shahu's still getting poked around. Nice play by Faker. His mid lane, very, very tight.
And Faker has a combat summoner, so he should be treated as a person that can now win this lane. He has the exhaust if Shahu ever does go aggressive, so they definitely have to respect that. And in typical RNG fashion, we have a swap back.
Yes, we do. Wow, yeah, they push the wave in, and right away they want the Kalista to play against the Sivir.
Wow.
He got boots of speed and still stayed on the one potion.
And Elise walked away. Juke is recalling because they see the Rise solo in the lane. They're electing to stay.
They don't want this to happen. They don't want to give any extra experience to Looper after what happened last game. They want to make sure
again.
Duke is staying. But yeah, Duke early teleports down to just match the Rise 1v1. I know Crepo and Deficio have a very defined way of the way they want lane swaps to work. This is much different, but it's all about the experience on the top laners trying to be the priority.
Well, right now they're both level 2 and barely that. There's some more minions on the field for Looper to kill. Also, this lane will freeze. The way RNG have manipulated the waves, Looper can hide under his turret and make Duke overextend to fight for CS.
And they have double teleport advantage.
Yeah.
If they ever do reverse it, top lane is a huge ganking.
Yeah, and we talk about the Sivir Soraka wanting to shove in because they can get a bunch of health and mana generation from Spell Shield and Soraka heals. They're not allowed to do that anymore because they're down 2 teleports if they ever overextend.
Look at this whoosh coming in. Nice little rend right there. Damage onto Wolf that he can't recover easily.
It gives RNG complete freedom to play as aggressive as they want in this lane.
And beyond that, all of a sudden Blank cannot look proactive. He has to be the reactive jungle. You ever a first person in on this gank, teleport can come anywhere on the map. You know, the waves are already against you. You can't set up turret dives. Like, Blank now has to play reactive style League of Legends, and we know MLXG wants to be proactive.
And because of all these reasons, I completely disagree with SKT's decision to teleport Duke down into the bottom lane. I think they should have allowed RNG to swap back. They should have punished with 4 people in the lane to get the gank off as the standard punish could be, because they had the people in position to do so if they wanted to cut that off, but they decided not to try. They made the safe, non-risky play, which opted into a minor disadvantage, and I think that's a mistake.
Because the biggest thing, right, is Rise shoves in that lane. It's bouncing back. If you even threaten the dive, Rise has to teleport, because otherwise you just go for it. Then Rise is burning his teleport. All of a sudden, Duke walks back to his lane, and you're on completely even footing. It's just, as far as standard lane swap goes, RNG bucked the trend, but SKT's response was not the right one.
I think SKT fumbled, but I also think it's rooted in their philosophy coming into this tournament where they're not willing to take those risks. SKT hasn't picked initiation in hardly any of their team compositions, and they haven't really done any turret diving in the early game. So RNG was playing to those tendencies or just doing what they're used to doing in the LPL. Either way, it worked. Look at that gold lead.
And right now is the first potential risk right there. The bot lane, the one-on-one down there, Rise versus Poppy. The wave had just pushed back out, and that river was pink warded. There was no vision for Looper at all, but no one came down to punish this. He was able to kill a pink ward, shoving in a wave with no concern for Blank at all. And Elise in the early game, and there's no punish at all.
Well, Duke has just picked up 8 CS. Before that, he was like 15 CS behind. If you mis-execute that gank and 5 minions die to a turret, ooh, that's nice from Faker. That's horrible for the Poppy. So, you know, even though it's a risky play, it's still pretty high percentage out of Looper to be able to push out like that.
Yeah, and Looper is actually playing incredibly risky right here. He's gone tier first and still sat on a Mana Crystal. Sometimes you will see the top lane Rise go Catalyst first because it gives them a little bit more durability in the ganks. But based on the pressure advantage they have right now, he has so many wards in the river. 1 deep ward covering a jungle exit, and 1 pink ward in the lane brush. It's really hard for SKT to get in position to stop that, and he also would have Xiaohu's teleport to protect him, so that's his safety in doing the risky build. All in all, this is actually a great early game for RNG.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the last place I want to hit on is the jungle, because it has been greatly skewed. If you take something not Nidalee, Kindred, or Graves, you have a window to be stronger than them. That for Elise is levels 1 to 5 before they have their ultimates. For Lee Sin, it's on the level 6 to 9 when you have the execute presence. Right now, Blank has completely missed his window because of how the lanes have kind of been controlled and manipulated by this RNG squad.
450 gold already, the difference between MLXG and Blank, and neither of them have really even seen enemies.
Really impressive stuff. You can see the rest of these lanes close to equal. Faker, slight lead in his matchup. Well played by him. He blind picked the Azir. Counter picked by LeBlanc. Did just fine in that one. Bot lane pretty close as well. The duos 70 gold apart for the 80 carries. Not a huge problem there. But yeah, 300 gold lead now for Looper. Duke is on the receiving end of a lot of punishment.
He's going to have to teleport again against a double TP comp.
Yeah, and the question will have to be, like, where is SKT going to get their advantages?
There's the play, the deep ward, and it's going to be Mata
Teleport
looking for
LeBlanc.
There's nowhere for this guy to go. Why even burn the flash? First blood coming in for Xiao, who does miss the chain. He cast it a bit too late.
Yeah, he actually chained before his flash, so it didn't extend far enough towards Bang. That could have been a double kill if they execute a little better, but that's the teleport. LeBlanc and Faker gets a minion wave. Will he try and punish as Xiao Hu goes through? Xiao Hu takes the safe path.
But once again, they see Duke teleport. What do? Straight away, they pull the trigger. They're going again.
Bang is alone without flash. Actually, an early Q by Mata anyway. Spell shield was still up. Either way, Bang does walk to safety. Nice attempt, but now Blank is coming. There are no flashes for the Royal duo lane.
Yeah, this could work for SKT. Bang doesn't have much damage, and maybe the 2v2 could still be one for them, but he's going to be going for this rather risky gank.
Here's the attempt.
It's hard for Bang to support this.
For the Chinese team's a big stun, and Amata gets a summoner heal and says, I have nowhere to go, but it's a turnaround by Whoosh onto Bang. Can he out damage, and a great silence comes out? Wow! They do turn it around. Wolf and Blank to save the 2-on-2.
Yeah,
beautiful silence. Yeah, it's a great timing for the gank. It was going to be close, but they were willing to take it, and the way that they were able to change the focus around and have Mata be so low at the start of the gank stopped him from being able to be safe.
Wow, flash slow from MLXG. Still wants to dive with the res
Got
bot.
exhaust.
Oh, Wish comes through, and it's not going to be anything. MLXG pops Lamb's Respite, and he actually just gets out. Doesn't want to get outplayed by Faker, but he burns both summoners off of the SKT mid laner.
So in the end, really nice play out of MLXG. Both he and Faker burn the flash early, which I think is crucial in that gank. MLXG, if he ever wants to kill the Azir, and Faker if he ever wants to live. But that gank in the top lane, one more time, I speak about it for Afro a lot. Blank just saved that lane. Like, he made the one risky play that they could make at that stage of the game for that lane to even remain equal, and was able to execute upon it. So that's a clutch play that you need out of SKT's jungle.
It absolutely saves the early game for them. And I also think it was RNG playing a little bit too confident. It was one of those instinct things, but I mean, Wolf just straight up walked back from base and made it back in time. So if they were paying attention to the death timers, they would have been able to avoid that. Either way, it pulls SKT even.
And Faker looking to make it more than equal. Going in for Xiao Hu. One more attack will do it, and he gets it. The solo kill in the mid lane. 1-0 for Faker.
That is huge. That was with all summoners down, so he wasn't even advantaged with the exhaust right there, but I think it was Xiao Hu probably staying a little bit too long in the lane. I didn't get to see the very start of that one, but that's the way SKT fights back. Blank makes a play, and Faker gets a solo kill.
And even despite that, SKT are basically only equal in gold. MLXG is heavily out farming, so is Looper. Just kind of like the last game, those are the players that the Chinese squad are using to leverage a lead. MLXG stealing the Krugs from Duke away as well, who's trying to get some jungling done as his turret's going down. We will see a turret swap overall as SKT's dual lanes on the bot side and Royals is up top. And Blank soloing a dragon means slightly, maybe, SKT with these sets of choices.
But this time, SKT have their win condition. They have a huge team fighting composition with Faker, a kill and 25 CSR. All of a sudden, they can start controlling around that mid lane. You see an effective turret swap right now, so they have at least got through this rough early game patch with a couple of good outplays that have kept them even for long enough.
Yeah, SKT being even is all they really need here at this point. As you mentioned, their late game's going to be great. Gosh, the Faker kill again. Xiao Hu just low.
Yeah, Xiao Hu at half health, and he's not able to get away from the Emperor's Divide, so really just not respecting Faker's close range right there. That's a time Xiao Hu couldn't have been there.
That was,
Yeah, right into his rocket silence too.
Up. This is bad for him, and exhaust might not mean enough. Mata comes in for some stats, and it does mean Xiaohu barely lives.
So I was going to say is that it was actually Xiaohu being aggressive, then I saw him do it again. Double distorting a minion wave against someone that can follow you, i.e. a Fizz, i.e. something like a Morgana, is actually really, really dangerous. So he's done it twice now in about 2 minutes, and that's not really great against Nazir.
Yeah, they're going to be losing this mid lane turret. So SKT playing around their advantage lane right there, but Looper trying to go for Bang.
The risk of it means that Spell Shield and the Severalty comes out, because the risk of a Flash Rune Prison would have been his death. So early Spell Shield, but it still might mean that turret, and it does. SKT 3 turrets to 1 now. They beat mid and that top lane.
Huge. They're getting the wave clear advantage with their 2 early picks there of Azir and Sivir. The Kalista pre-Hurricane and the LeBlanc, who's disadvantaged in the lane, cannot keep up with this whatsoever. So definitely nice of SKT getting those ganks in to regain the pressure in some of these lanes, and now they're making their lead work.
Because, like, let's just state it, Looper's going to be more effective than Duke, probably, in these team fights. The Kindred is way over Elise in team fights. Their win conditions are around the Sivir and the Azir. So the fact that they are the 2 people ahead on SKT's side is massive. But the discrepancy on the other side of the map is equally as big for RNG. And the thing about early turrets is they should be equalized if you run double teleport. There should be situations in this game where RNG are able to open up that map and chip down turrets. So they have a gold lead now, and they need to start utilizing it.
I do say Xiaohu is getting pressured more on LeBlanc this game than I've seen him get pressured all tournament. He's been dominant against pretty much everyone. But a few mistakes against Faker, and also the fact that he's against Faker, who's having a much better Azir game than he did in the group stage. It's making him struggle.
A relevant stat for this, actually, I was told there have been 29 solo kills pre-15 in this tournament. This is the first time Faker's gotten one of them. Finally having a good early laning phase for himself, is at MSI specifically. And let's for the flash up on the blank. They really want to knock down this Elise, who flashes to the left-hand side toward Faker. Here comes Looper. Here comes the teleport from Duke. And it's going to be an assassination. MLXG goes down. Mata forced to be pulled back. Bang on the wings. Wolf near there as well. Attack on the side. A great knockback from Faker. Buys the time. A huge knockup as well. And they're going to start picking up kills. Bang gets one. A second as well as Whoosh goes down. Xiaohu forced to run away from Duke. Looper also falling. That is 4 kills for SKT with only 1 in return.
Blank going back in. The surprise damage on MLXG. MLXG can't get down his Kindred ultimate. Then RNG's all-in style bites them right there. And SKT's very easily able to turn that fight around. Great fight for SKT. Big lead in the early game.
They play towards the right side of the screen and then chase left. They actually had the team fight cut in 2, but by overcommitting onto Faker's Azir, they open up the back end of that team fight for everyone else to collapse onto the carries. That's an overreach from RNG. We're not used to seeing this. Their teamfight execution is always crisp.
Yeah, and if we talk about the way SKT would win games versus the way RNG would win games, SKT will win when they punish RNG for overreaching. That's how they've been playing most of their plays, outside of a few early game successes they had here with the Faker solo kill and the blank gank. That's more of the fight we'd expect SKT to win coming into the series. Bad recall spot.
MLXG spots him exhausted, gets away from the root flash to chase, and the Wolf takes him down. Team kill right there. Wolf kills Wolf. MLXG takes the jungle.
All right. This is something that SKT has done more in this tournament than I have ever seen in the past. Recalling in really silly situations. Faker's been caught out twice. Wolf there as well. Walk back deeper into your jungle. Or set down an aggressive ward as they walk over it. At least give yourself time to be able to back away.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, that was the ward that was teleported in the prior fight. So, like, Wolf knew he was very close to being in vision, if not completely in vision. Yeah, that is the ward that was still up from the prior fight where Wolf was recalling next to. But yeah, they teleport in. I guess they thought the teleport would zone off Wolf, but RNG could have followed up towards the tri-brush and executed that dive. Instead, they pull over to the left. MLXG gets bursted down, and then Mata still goes through, further committing onto Faker, allowing Bang and Wolf to just free hit from the backside.
And look at this. Xiaohu came from the right-hand side. Looper and Xiaohu can absolutely decimate Wolf and Bang in that 2v2. Yeah. But Xiaohu, little bit of miscommunication, overreaches to try and kill the Azir, and the pinch just doesn't work out.
They even could have teleported to the same ward and just one-shot the backline by themselves. Pull a CLG-type move right there, top and mid coming up. Didn't happen there. And it's going to be SKT farther ahead now. Great pickup. Down goes the Rift Herald, given over to Blank. still a sizable lead here. 3,000 up, fighting for the blue buff, and a big
Huge
knockback on
play.
a 2. That's bad for MLXG. Pop slams her spite. Mata's gonna come into this one as well, but Faker has so much time to deal the damage. A great tackle from Duke means a kill on the RNG jungler. Looper now running, slowed down by Wolf. The kill goes over to Blank, 2 for 0 with the blue steal.
And Faker's playing like a man possessed right now. These Azir initiations are incredible. We thought SKT was a little bit low on initiation, but Faker's just making it work. As soon as he sees a small opening with the numbers advantage, he's going for it. That was a fantastic Emperor's Divide and an even bigger advantage for SKT.
And you're behind RNG. Stop overreaching for little objectives. I mean, bleed dragons, give up a blue buff, but try and get pace of the game back by spreading people out, not letting this Sivir, Azir, you know, the team fighting prowess of the Poppy to come out. Instead, they just keep going for the fights. And Faker, as you said, he's just going in time and time again, gets a two-man scoop here, and Looper can never get into the fight.
Yeah, and it's into the Soraka silence, which is an amazing synergy that SKT's been able to pull off now. Both times they've played Soraka with Azir. And then at this point, Looper was just way in over his head and dies once again.
Quick reaction by Bang as well. Spell shields in case the skill would have landed. And beautiful stuff here. So a highly paced game working well, and SKT trying to really turn this cruise here. Second item, Banner of Command coming out from Blank to try to keep the pressure on as fast as he can. The only wave that RNG can out and use is their jungler and AD carry. Now looking for more to do. Oh, that tackle lands on Amatsa. Nowhere for Braum to go. Oh, just kidding. Fate's called out,
both died.
and he's going to be sent away. Whoosh is going to lose his life for this one. It saves Mata. What a nice AD carry supporting his support.
Yeah, good guy Whoosh there. Little bit on Banner that you were mentioning. Rise, LeBlanc, the two people with teleport, there's no way you kill that minion. It lives forever. Kalista is way too short range. MLXG is way too short range as well.
Yeah, this is SKT snowballing this game in a very good fashion. I mean, the time of game for SKT on average was very long in the group stage, but that's because they lose slow. They win fast. So they're trying to do that right here.
And look at this. Under 19 minutes onto the inhibitor already. It's at half health. They will get pushed out. And in fact, it's Xiao who teleported on the flank. This is a fight that RNG needs to win. The flash route gets on the Bang, who doesn't take any damage at all thanks to Wolf. Matza dies for it. Duke in the front line, tanky enough. Looper's dead as well. SKT will not be refrained, pushing forward. MLXG takes a heal from Whoosh to run away faster, but now that's Whoosh himself getting caught out. Lamb's just bite, gets him some health. Actually does nothing at all for RNG. It's a wasted ulti, and SKT inside the base. Inhibitor dead before 20 minutes, and they're staying inside. It's 5 versus 3. A Nexus turret going down sub 20.
They have the Soraka push right now, so they can sustain through this, and they're just continually pushing them back in a base to buy time for the turret.
And the Sivir ulti to disengage. SKT don't bite off more than they can chew. What an immaculate push by them.
Yeah, perfect understanding. They know that Looper's not available. They have to make the play again. Here comes Looper.
Yeah, I mean, you either let SKT starve you out, or you go for the big play.
You have to go right now.
But the big plays just haven't worked. He can't. The rest of his team isn't close enough behind SKT, and he's on a pink ward, so it would be suicide.
Unless they
maybe they're feeling like it.
Straggling out.
Oh,
Duke
goodness.
gets in a fog of war. Nice cocoon. Now Bang's in front, and this is the high
They
spell
can't
shield.
do it.
You can't even try for this one, Xiaohu.
Great. This is actually what you expect out of SKT. They just keep running. No one's lazy. No one recalls in a bad position this time. Everyone gets back. They're chasing them up a super creep wave as well. So SKT finally executing in the early game, and they just smash it.
That's the team that everyone predicted would be the #1 squad at this tournament, and SKT looks like this.
And look at it, it's an overreach one more time. Xiaohu goes for the teleport play, but there's an Azir turret that they should have known about, and Mata just keeps diving past. Once again, it's actually Duke with better teleport positioning this time, and Xiaohu doesn't hit anyone in this team fight.
And we got to see it a little bit here, but Soraka is also a great pick into Rise, because as soon as he goes to machine gun someone down, you can put the silence field directly on him and just completely stuff his damage. SKT playing this game extremely well after some early missteps, but what a performance it's been from about minute 6 till now.
And it's time for Baron as well. They are not letting up at all. SKT playing high-paced. MLXG is over the wall.
it would have been stealable if he had Smite.
Maybe so. MLXG now has to run away from Faker, who wants
But
an
they
exhaust
don't know,
is
he's
on,
pulled them off.
and now they're re-engaged out on towards Duke, forced to flash away from Baron, but MLXG is dead. His ulti wasn't available, and now the knockout for Duke to buy time for his team, exhausted a looper, and that top laner might just die. He's limping away. The tackle from Duke nearly picks him off, but it's Mata stuck in the front line. Down goes Braum. 5 versus 3. The chase still on for SKT. They might get a blue buff, they might disengage, they might turn back for Baron.
Yeah, I mean, nobody died. I'm surprised they decided to continue the chase through instead of just turning immediately back onto Baron, but I don't think it'll matter at the end of the day. Azir Soraka able to just sustain back up and still kill the Baron at an alarmingly fast rate. SKT in absolute control of game 2.
And once again, RNG, they can't even send anyone there. They've only got one Nexus turret left that had a super creep wave on there. I mean, they keep committing to that. SKT just win the game. So, you know, they give up the Baron buff and they're 10,000 gold behind. And this is just all started because, you know, SKT, they're not willing to take the risk. They peel up. Faker goes and deals with MLXG, even though he doesn't have Smite. And everyone else just plays their role perfectly.
Get away from the Baron pit, wait quicker to come back in, and buy time for Lupa to get re-engaged upon.
And this top lane Ryze is being completely shut down. You saw when he tried to run in right there, the instant he tried to pop in for his spell combo, Soraka silence. He chased through. That's when SKT goes to layer their CC. So the Soraka was a pick that Wolf didn't have coming into this tournament, and Wolf actually isn't having the greatest of tournaments, but his Soraka play in this game in particular has been top-notch.
And here comes the rest of it. Into the mid lane they go. Bot lane inhibitor still dead. It died 3 minutes ago or so. The fastest that we've ever seen a Nexus turret die happen as well earlier on. They're looking for number 2 here. Baron up, banner, cannon, minions still on the field. And let's see what's next for SKT. It's going to be the top lane. That wave was already well manicured thanks to Duke and the rest of his squad. And this will be inhibitor number 3.
RNG isn't going to be lasting long here. This is going to be inhibitor number 3 with 5 people, and that's actually because no one can kill the banner minion. Going to be the end of the game.
In they go. MLXG low on health. Can't pop the Lambs, just fighting time. Down he goes. Great by Blank. And all the kills are coming through. 4 already. Make that 5. It's a slaughter. It's a beautiful win for Korea's SKTelecom T1 to tie up the series.
They smashed RNG in that game. That was absolute decimation of the Chinese squad.
Yeah, this is the fastest time someone has beaten RNG in with the 23-minute, 32-second victory. And also, it may have taken 12 games, but the SKT people expected to show to MSI are finally here.
They punish every mistake that RNG makes. The overreaches now no longer working. And you know, RNG got the early game they were looking for. 40 CS on their jungler, still 40 up on their top laner as well. And SKT were like, we don't care. We have Azir Sivir. Like, why would you give us this lineup?
Yeah, absolute decimation from SKT here. But this is the beauty that we keep coming back to of best of 5s. RNG doesn't have to keep Maokai and Alistar bans because those are their champions just as much as they are SKT's champions. The complexion of the pick and ban phase can change drastically in Game 3. And after this result, it will.
This is going to be so much fun. They'll stay on the same sides, but seeing Faker play that well is going to be pretty heartening. Had a good Game 1, even though SKT lost. Had a great Game 2, and was one of the major reasons they won. And that is a full power SKT. And the games keep looking like that, it's scary.
The biggest thing, right, is winning a game 22 minutes. That's great. Unlocking the Azir pick that we thought he could not blind pick in the second rotation because of how good Xiaohu's LeBlanc is, even more valuable in a best of 5 series, in my opinion, because it's not going to win you one game. It's going to win you the set if he keeps playing that way.
Because much like they baited the Poppy pick to go up against Trundle in Game 1, I almost feel like they were baiting the Azir pick with the first pick Ryze. Faker thinking, yeah, I'll play Azir into Ryze, no problem. Guess what? We're going to throw the Blanc at you. But he took it completely in stride, popped in the exhaust, solo killed him, and completely crushed the game. So Faker did not allow them to play that game.
And it was really good by SKT. Their pick ban phase did change. World did the same because they won. Why wouldn't you do the same plan here? But SKT changing it up, get rid of the Nidalee, wait on that Poppy pick. We understand there's this counter matchup thing going on here. Let's unlock the Azir for ourselves, and that went beautifully. So a good win for them. 1-1 this series. It's going to be probably continually amazing in this best of 5. And you know what? If the analysts are ready, we'd love to toss it to them to break that game down a little bit more. And when that does happen, we'll hear their thoughts. Looks like they're not ready, so we get to talk a bit more. That'll be great. No, it is.
Hey,
We are very ready for
I was about to signal just like
Let's see, yeah, they're right over there. No, we're very ready to talk about this game. Whoa, SKT. I mean, that was pretty fast. What happened there?
RNG went on vacation.
I
wasn't even good.
All right, cool. Now that we got that out of the way.
out of the system.
For realsies this time.
Great adaptation and pick and bans from SKT. First of all, they understand that they're trying to target trying to target Duke, so like save his pick for last, you know? Wait and see what happens. The Azir pick as well here is so good because we knew Sivir was going to be locked in by SKT when we saw the 280 carry bans.
Right.
Then the Azir comes in because they see Ryze. Now, obviously that's a matchup we've seen quite a few times. They expected it to be Ryze mid lane at this point. So when they then take Elise with the Azir, they can actually match the early game. Ryze only wins the lane, same for LeBlanc, if they can all in. It's very hard to all in when there's an early jungler who can fight for river control and also match the Kindred early game. And that actually allows Faker to play much more aggressive in lane and win the lane.
It also meant that Duke and Wolf in particular could bring a lot more utility to these fights, where if it's close fights and you don't always have to run, you can play a little closer. And Wolf had some really awesome silence fields for me. Every time Xiaohu either went in, he got silenced, then Duke tried to pin him into a wall. They were working together right now because they weren't as far behind as they were in game one, and they could actually use the champions to their full benefit. Obviously, the fight that was very eagerly engaged by RNG later on kind of gave him the game as well. But they played a lot better. And Faker, for me, the change from week 1 to week 2 is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the individual improvements in this game were definitely there for Faker and for Blank. But also, what is really interesting to me is how SKT are so wholly focused on the team overall and the team fight that they're willing to just have Duke and you say, you know what?
You go for it, man.
Go ahead and take that, Poppy, because we're going to have a tank. They basically set up a raid group. We have our main tank. He's going to be a full tank. We have our 2 DPS. We actually even have a healer in this one. and then we're just going to play our team fights, and we're going to do them well. And Duke, sorry if you're going to lose that 1 versus 1. You have to fight Ryze as Poppy. That's not fun, but he's going to take one for the team.
At least this time they got the lane swap off. Yes, RNG match, but it cost them a lot of momentum there, and that just got Duke through the early levels decently well. Then he went to lane. He got like, 10, 20 CS down, but with good river control this time, as Deficio pointed out earlier, they managed to survive, and then obviously strength in numbers. They played around the LeBlanc very well. Xiaohu was never allowed to really go for his signature flanks, and honestly, he got 1v1 in the mid lane at once too.
But Deficio, I want to talk about this lane swap because RNG does something that's very different from what any other team does.
Right.
It's a half lane swap because the turret doesn't actually go down.
It's a lane swap, so it started originally when they wanted to dodge around strong level 1 and level 2 compositions or combos in the bot lane in terms of 2v2. It is now evolved into just one of their preferred ways to actually lane swap full out, where they
it's a lane swap pull out.
Basically, like they fast push the bot lane at first, and as soon as it hits the tower, they just instant recall with both Mata and Whoosh, and then they rush to top lane. So the goal is that they get all the minions when pushing in, and they still manage to catch some of the minions where the other team has pushed them into tower. Okay. Now there's a lot of risk involved, and the problem also in this game and them swapping into 2v2 is that actually they lose the 2v2 in terms of push. And we talked about the mid lane, how LeBlanc needs to have the vision control to all in. But when you lose the top lane 2v2, you lose the river. That means Elise can set up the vision in the river. That means Faker is safe. And then also this TP LeBlanc, because you thought it was going to be like more of a scaling matchup in a sense, or that he was going to run cleanse and therefore he couldn't run ignite, and that's when it goes wrong.
Yeah, so ultimately SKT has some decent control over the early game, but now I want to jump forward to that fight you were mentioning, Crepo, where RNG kind of eagerly engages and they lose it only 14 minutes into the game. That's not quite it.
They lost before they even got in.
Here it is.
We're in the fight right now. Malta has already flashed in and gone for an aggressive pickoff. But I feel like RNG forget that they're playing against Elise. Blank does a really good job buying a lot of time, and then suddenly Kindred drops in one sweep combo.
Yeah, this is purely just a mistake from Kindred here, and this is something we have not been used to seeing. MLXD, he waits around on the edge of the rappel so that Elise can drop on him, get the execute, plus Faker finishes off with an easy kill. And as he said, Blank buys more time with rappel than Kindred would be able to with Kindred Ultimate in this one.
And then the TP from Duke actually was a little late still, so SKT is still working on that problem. At least he's TPing into good fights now instead of horrible TPs in game 1, so we're seeing progression there. But yeah, RNG, they're very decisive, and when Mata calls somebody, they go ham for him, but that was almost too much. Flash to get a better angle on the Braum ulti, then get back out. Xiaohu couldn't enter that fight. Blank did a fantastic job buying time, but even if he dies a little sooner, I feel like that was a bad fight.
To be fair, if you're RNG and you say, let's not take the fight, let's try and maybe wait for next one and next one and next one, you look at SKT's composition with the Azir sitting there, you're like, we don't actually want to go late game against Azir, Soraka, and Sivir and take these team fights. So they're kind of like, we need to try. Right. You know, maybe there's only 10% chance it works. If it does, we're back in the game. If not, well, the game ends in 22 minutes.
Yeah, they lost the fight not for lack of commitment or anything like that. Yeah, never on the side of effort. But with the series tied up, up 1-1. We need to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, though. Game 3 is coming your way in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
Mid-season Invitational 2016 semifinals. Game 1 went to China's Royal Never Give Up. Korea's SKTelecom T1 looking to turn this best-of-5 around as the coaches shake hands. Chinese team's a big stun, and Amata gets a summoner heal and says, I have nowhere to go. But it's a turn by Woosh onto Bang. Can he out-damage, and a great silence comes out. Wow! Mata forced to be pulled back. Bang on the wings. Wolf near there as well. Attack on the side. A great knockback from Baker buys the time. A huge knockup as well. And they're going to start picking up kills. Bang gets one.
야 사이
루퍼 노플.
나 루퍼 쪼까
And all the kills are coming through 4 already. Make that 5. It's a slaughter. It's a beautiful win for Korea's SKTelecom T1 to tie up the series.